Grandparent core is such a weird concept because a lot of people use grandma or grandpa as an insult when it comes to fashion, but at the same time, some people actually want to dress like a grandparent. It's kind of a vibe. As the name suggests, grandparent core is based off of grandparents, so it consists of grandma core and grandpa core. A lot of these two overlap and borrow from each other, but they're both very comfy, whimsical, and vintage-inspired aesthetics. I've mentioned these aesthetics in the past, but I wanted to cover it more in depth today. And before we get started, don't forget to join my Discord server to talk more about fashion and aesthetics and even continue the conversation on grandparent core there. And like this video if you enjoy it, subscribe if you aren't already. And also, I hope you guys appreciate my brand new audio recorder / microphone. Y'all were kind of starting to bully me into buying a new one because my old microphone broke and I've been using a very cheap Amazon microphone and it wasn't the best quality, but hopefully this works a lot better. So let's start off with grandmacore. Grandmacore is based off of your stereotypical grandma and stereotypical grandma things like knitting, crocheting, baking, sewing, cooking. And I find that it has a lot of similarities to cottagecore due to that overlap of hobbies and an overlap of vintage styles. So a lot of the visuals you see would include knitting, balls of yarn in baskets, baked goods and sweets, rocking chairs or armchairs, doilies, novelty teapots, plates and vases, floral arrangements, brightly colored old furniture, sometimes covered in plastic, we've all seen that before, kitschy trinkets or novelty items, and a house organized in a very particular way. In terms of fashion, I feel like there's no specific color palette. You probably see a lot of muted, softer colors and pastels, but it's kind of up to you as an individual to kind of choose what colors you want to wear. But some common visual elements you'd see would be floral embroidery, frills and lace or ruffles, buttons, and patchwork. For specific fashion items, I would look for cozy sweaters, especially hand-knitted ones, old dresses, knitted cardigans, again can be hand-knitted or crocheted, sweater vests, collared knit or polo shirts, nightgowns, aprons, which aren't the most practical for every day, but definitely completes that grandma look, long skirts or dresses, plaid skirts, socks and Mary Janes, loafers, Oxfords, or lace-up boots. And for accessories, look for older jewelry like brooches, matching sets, and old rings. So you'd see a lot of very comfy and loose, kind of shapeless silhouettes, and it's just a very cozy and soft vibe. For grandpacore, I feel like it's very similar cozy vibes, but rather than the kind, soft vibes of grandmacore, the stereotypical grandpa is associated more with grouchiness, like the stereotypical angry grandpa. Get off my lawn kind of grandpa. So for fashion, I feel like that translates to a more structured silhouette. It's also based on stereotypical grandpa hobbies like listening to the radio, working on cars, or woodworking. So for visuals, you would see flannels, or that general plaid pattern, a well-worn chair, a messy garage or workspace, station wagons, golf or football, vintage knickknacks, muted knit blankets, crossword puzzles, and birdhouses. Also, unlike grandpacore has a more defined color palette of neutrals, but I feel like you can still play around with that a little bit and bring in some colors, but I would go for more muted colors. Just don't go too bold with it like hot pink or something. I don't feel like that screams grandpa to me. Some common visual elements I'd see in fashion for grandpacore would be some stripes, especially in sweaters, corduroy, knits, and for specific items to look for, I would look for a button-up or a collared shirt, turtlenecks, sweatshirts, cardigans and sweaters, sweaters layered over collar shirts, sweater vests, waistcoats, half-zip sweaters, flannels, tweed jackets, high-waisted pants or pleated trousers, dirty shoes, brown leather shoes like loafers or Oxfords, newsboy hats, suspenders, bow ties, old white socks, vintage or dirty watches, a pocket watch, or even a cane. So like I said, very similar to grandmacore in that it's very cozy and comfy, but a lot more structured with things like pleated trousers and waistcoats. I also feel like layering adds a lot to this aesthetic, so things like layering a sweater over a collared shirt or a turtleneck, or layering a waistcoat under a cardigan, it really adds to that grandparent vibe, and I feel like adding more layers just makes it feel a lot more cozy. But I know this aesthetic can definitely cater more to the fall or winter, so if it's summer or you live in a hot climate, I would try to go for just thin knit materials like a polo shirt and pair that with pleated trousers, or maybe a long flowy skirt that's very airy and breathable, and a very light cardigan. And really try to focus on breathable materials like linen and accessorizing with antique or vintage jewelry to get more of that grandparent and older vibe. Now, in terms of where to shop, thrifting I feel like is your best bet because you can definitely find a lot of actual grandparents' clothes in the thrift store. So I feel like you can find a lot of options there, and they'll have that worn look as well that kind of really fits that grandparent vibe. And I feel like a lot of these items that I mentioned for grandmacore and grandpacore are actually pretty basic items, so it shouldn't be too hard to find in a thrift store, like a sweater or a cardigan or even some trousers. I feel like there's a lot of options to find secondhand. AlterPDX is a brand that I've been mentioning a lot because they are sustainable, they're plus size inclusive, and they just have a lot of options that fit a lot of different aesthetics. I really like their dresses. They have a lot of long dresses that I feel like could fit in with grandmacore, so I think it's a good option for that. They are a little pricey, but I do have a discount code, DRESSRELIEF, that you can use for 10% off, so it's definitely worth checking out. ModCloth and Unique Vintage are two brands that have vintage inspired clothes, and I feel like they will fit the grandparent core aesthetics really well because these aesthetics are very vintage inspired. So you can find things like collared shirts, long skirts for dresses, or sweaters or cardigans. And if you want a more affordable option, I would look at YesStyle. They have some cute frilly blouses and pleated trousers and things like that, and they are definitely more on the budget-friendly side. And even stores like H&M, Forever 21, or your typical mall stores might have some basic sweaters and cardigans. These stores are definitely more for feminine presenting people because I am feminine presenting and I don't know too much about menswear, but if you're masculine presenting, I feel like there are a lot of options for those basics like collared shirts, trousers, and sweaters. Some that I know of are J. Crew, Land's End, and LL Bean. Those have some good sweaters, pleated trousers, collared shirts, polo shirts, and they can definitely fit the grandparent core aesthetic. Other than that, let me know if you guys have suggestions. I love finding new places to shop. I even have a Where to Shop channel in my Discord server. Again, if you haven't joined already, it's a really good resource and a really great way to meet new people who are also interested in fashion and aesthetics. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you think of the grandparent core aesthetic. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the future, and I'll see you guys next time.